I'm bored. Let's read a book. Oh! Waking up in the snug inn stable was nearly the reverse of falling asleep, except colder and noisier. The wind continued to blow, and my breath was frost steam in the chill air, so cold that even the dust seemed to have frozen out of the air. My stomach contributed to the turmoil as well. With one eye open, I glanced through the gloom toward the other side of the loft where Justin had spread his cloak. I sat up abruptly, nearly banging my head on the roof truss. The Grey Wizard was gone. The straw had been pushed back into the place as if the man had never been there. I stretched, jerking myself out of the warmth of my cloak, and brushed the straw off my trousers and tunic, bit by bit, stepping from foot to foot on the cold, rough planks. After getting a few stray pieces out of my boots, I pulled warm feet into the cold leather, wincing as I did so. Scrambling sideways onto the planks by the open bay to the stable below, I stood and stretched again. Then I glanced down at the ponies. Both Rosefoot and Gerlach were chewing more than substantial than hay. Where had Justin gone? The inn? On some wizardly errand? Or on a more mundane bodily need, one that I may needed to take care of as well? My stomach reminded me of its very unwizardly needs. That and the fact that I had yet to think through my trip toward the Westthorns. I was still reacting. The last planned step I had taken was to purchase Gerlach. After that, everything had been reaction. Not one thumb's worth of travel food lay in my pack or in the empty saddlebags. Somehow, things kept getting in the way. I had forgotten to stop down at the market square in Freetown because I just wanted to get clear of the town. That decision had been sound, but there was no place on the road to Hrisbarg, and I had been forced out of Hrisbarg on to Hewlett. Now, I didn't really dare go back to the inn, not after what I had seen of Antonin and what Justin had said. Still, perhaps there was a general store or something among the buildings standing in the sea of frozen mud around the inn, where I could buy some sort of provisions, including some blankets or the equivalent. I shook my head, then followed Justin's example by shoving the straw back into place and shaking out my cloak. My teeth felt fuzzy, and my stomach empty, and my muscles sore. I checked my pack, then gathered both staff and pack for the descent to the stable. The stable door opened, then slid shut again. I ducked back at a sight. "Good morning." Justin's head popped through the opening of the stable. "Give me a hand, would you?" I was glad to, since he had 2 steaming mugs and a large platter covered with a ragged cloth, which also steamed. "I thought you might like something to eat before we left." He easily sat cross-legged on the hard floor and picked up one of the cups, easing the cloth off the platter and revealing 4 large bran biscuits and a battered apple. I sipped the cider, warm but not burning, and overspiced with cloves. The warmth and the liquid helped ease the headache I hadn't realized I had. "You know, young friend, it would help if I knew your name, or at least what you would like to be called." Justin took a large bite from the biscuit he held. "Sorry, it's Laris," I mumbled, trying not to lose any of the biscuit crumbs. While bran biscuits wouldn't have exactly been my choice for breakfast, my stomach received them gratefully. "You're Justin?" He nodded, otherwise known as the Grey Wizard, and other less flattering terms. A deep swallow from the battered earthenware cup followed. "The apple's yours." I didn't protest, and ate it right down to the core, squishy spots and all. "Antonin has been requested to assist the new Duke of Freetown." "Oh, he told you that?" but he was already in Freetown. Does that matter? He serves whoever he pays, snorted Justin. He didn't tell me, though. He told one of his guards, who told Fidelia, who told somebody else. The wizard finished his second biscuit and topped it off with the remaining cider from his mug. Rather than answer immediately, I chewed the last half of my second biscuit. The old Duke's actions seemed designed to anger many people, particularly Recluce, observed Justin dryly. He stood up and brushed a few crumbs from his cloak and trousers. What would Recluce do? Nothing major besides flooding the duchy, ruining the fall hay, and ensuring that no major trade flowed through Freetown until the Duke's death. Nothing besides destroying publicly and with a woman, his champion, and presumably using the same woman to assassinate him in his own castle. All of that scarcely seems possible. Not any more possible than an untrained black staffer escaping the Duke's guards, riding the Deadlands untouched, and avoiding the attention of the most powerful white wizard in Kandar. I tried not to shiver at his matter-of-fact words, instead following his example and standing and brushing away the crumbs. What next? Is there anywhere I can get some trail food and some blankets and a waterproof travel cloth? Justin shrugged theatrically. That's no problem at all. Expensive here in Hewlett, but necessary. Who said I was? I'm more interested in not helping Antonin. Doubt is a powerful weapon. Once he learns you are right under his nose, that will create more than a little doubt. And he certainly needs some doubt in his life right now. Let's go. It's still early, and there's some snow falling, enough to make far-seeing difficult. He vaulted down onto the half-wall below, then dropped into the stall next to Rosefoot. I followed, not nearly so gracefully, banging the staff on the wall, dropping the pack, and nearly losing my balance off the half-wall of the stall. Justin said nothing as he began to saddle Rosefoot. I looked around. There, pointed Justin. He was right. Behind the small door was an outhouse. By the time I returned, Rosefoot was saddled, and Justin was checking rather full saddlebags. The Grey Wizard said nothing as I struggled with Gerlach, offering neither assistance nor criticism. All right, I mumbled, after what seemed like forever. He nodded and opened the stall door. I let Gerlach out, and Rosefoot followed Justin without even touching her reins. Like Gerlach, Rosefoot wore hackamore. Not a bit. Sirs, pleaded the stable boy as he eased back the sliding door. I looked at Justin, who grinned, then tossed a copper at the smudged face protruding from the assemblage of leather and rags. The coach stood beyond, polished and waiting, but the horses were still in their stalls. Thank you, Grey Wizard. Good luck. Good luck, Gorling. I eased onto the saddle, my thighs not protesting quite as much as when I had left Trisbark. Feather light and chill, the wind brushed my stubbly cheeks, and like a Nas curtain, the light show blurred the hills beyond Howlett. For all of the howling and rushing of the night before, the storm had only deposited enough snow to provide a light blanket on the ground. Each hoofprint showed the frozen mud beneath. The single plume of gray smoke spiraled from the main chimney of the snug inn and flattened the mud around the front doors of the inn, showed that the most of the tracks had been people leaving early mid-morning. Most of the tracks seemed to lead toward the road to Trisbark. Now that there was a new duke, the merchants and traders were losing no time. I shook my head. Justin eased Rosefoot closer to Gerlach. Do you want a bargain? Or to let me do it as if you were my apprentice? you're paying. What do I gain? If I do it, everyone will link you with me. But if I do it, they'll give me a greater status and assume I'm the one who wrote the Deadlands. Perhaps not. But they will think of you in individual terms. It could cost more if you purchase things. You're a great wizard, although they won't cheat you on the quality. Justin smiles. That covers it. It's your choice. I shrugged. I'm not up to being a hero this morning. I suspect I'll have plenty of opportunities in the days to come. The last building on the right, said Justin. His soft voice carried, yet I had the impression that I was the only one who could have heard it. Built of the same, light gray planks as the snug inn, with the gaps between the warped edges chinks with dry mortar. The one-story structure bore no sign, and only the planks that approximated a hallway from a hitching rail to the battered and red-painted doorway indicated the possibility of a commercial enterprise. A single mule was tethered at the rail as Justin eased himself from the saddle, stepped across the frozen mud crusts, and wrapped Rosefoot's reins to the post. I followed his example, far less gracefully. The three men seated in the wooden rocking chairs around the hearth on the left side of the room barely moved. Even with the alarm from the hinges of the ancient door, the fire in the hearth, consisting of mostly red coals, barely flickered. Heaped on 4 tables between the door and the hearth were all manner of saddle-carried gear blankets, hand shovels, hand axes, canteens, saddlebags, and the majority were frayed and worn. To the left, on 5 shelves, were arrayed an assortment of small packages wrapped in oilcloth. Trail food. Justin stepped up to the first table. Another apprentice wizard? Last time you said you weren't up to one more. Justin gave the heaviest man a rueful look. And you said I wouldn't see you here another winter, Thurlow. What do you need? Thurlow leaned forward but did not leave the chair, Spinley looking to hold his bulk. Canteen, basic travel food. What you see is what there is. I let my fingers run across the assortment of bedrolls and blankets, stopping where my fingers recognized a certain tight weave and waterproofing that matched my pack. Justin nodded minutely, and I set it aside for a moment while he casually picked up a canteen and a small assortment of oilclothed travel food packages. Got everything? Grunted the heavy man as he levered himself from the chair and waddled toward the tables. Just a few things. How about a silver? Justin shook his head slowly. I'm a poor traveling wizard reduced to talking apprentices, and you treat me like I'm a rich merchant. The 2 other men, much thinner than Thurlow, guffawed, but they had stopped rocking as they watched. Pretty young for an apprentice. Thurlow's deep-set black eyes raked over me. Times are rough all over. 7 pennies, but that's because you've always been so kind to an old man. What about the bedroll, the brown one? That? It's Recluce made, worth at least 5 silvers. Something like that stays dry anywhere but the sea itself. Thurlow's voice was indifferent. Some folks don't like Recluce products, Justin answered. That's true, but they're good, you have to admit. How did it end up here? One of their kids, danger gelders. They call them, sold it to someone I knew in Fenard. Prefect outlawed the sale of the Recluce-made stuff, so we sent it to Jericho, and I got it there. The Viscount doesn't care. 1 silver? Not much good to me, but it's worth more. In the end, Justin paid not quite 3 silvers for the bedroll, canteen, and 5 packages of food. I couldn't have nearly done so well. Well, wizard, you won't see me here another winter. And you won't see me with another apprentice, countered Justin. They both laughed, and we left with me carrying everything. Outside, the wind had picked up. Justin raised his eyebrows as I laid the bedroll over the saddle in order to pack the food parcels. I looked at him. 2 + 9, he reminded me. His face was impassive, but I wondered if he were trying to hide a smile. I dredged 3 silvers from my belt pouch, noting that my funds were disappearing all too rapidly, and remembering that the bedroll had belonged to a danger guilder who hadn't gotten very far before they had to sell it. I shivered, although I wasn't even cold. A few fine swirls of snow whipped past my face as I packed the food into one saddlebag and rolled the waterproof cloth of the one-piece bedroll into a tighter bundle that I tied behind the saddle. We'll fill the canteen along the way in one of the cleaner streams. I agreed with that. Hula didn't look as if it were the most sanitary of communities. Without another word, Justin untied Rosefoot and chucked the reins. I was struggling with Gerloff when he had reached the edge of Howlett and took the left-hand road. It took me almost 3 Ks to catch up because Gerloff insisted on an even walk, barely faster than Rosefoot. Even then, Justin said little, though we rode side by side on the crooked road. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, please like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss out on any of these videos. See y'all in the next one. Goodbye!